join me as we give our undivided focus on today's business stories across the country. I, your host, Diana Iriza, will be taking you all the way till the end of this show with today's latest business stories. Brought to you by Rwanda TV, this is Business Digest. Coming up on the show, we'll have an overview on the recycling business of electronic waste in the country.
We have hazardous fraction in this equipment, in electronic and electric equipment. So we need to properly handle and dispose it for the protection of environment.
We shall be carrying out an analysis on the growing trend of food trucks and containers in the country. Do they fit in the Rwandan business standards?
Said we are teaming up with different institutions just to sell our food in their property, because we are not allowed to sell food in the street.
Last but not least, on the market trends, I'll be bringing you the gross domestic product national accounts of the second quarter of 2018. In the month of November 2018, the Green Growth Forum was held in Kigali, bringing together policymakers and practitioners from across the country and the continent to share experiences on green growth and climate resilient development. Themed for a green growth and climate resilient Africa, the forum is meant to shine a light on the importance of sustainable economic transformation and signal green growth as a priority for Africa. This hence sparked Business Digest's interest to investigate what local firms and companies are doing to support this movement. We visited a multi-million e-waste recycling facility in Bugesera district, Eastern Province, that Rwanda unveiled last year. With this facility, all old electronics are no longer a problem for Rwandans. The recycling facility saves the country from environmental hazards and creates thousands of green jobs. In 2014, the government investigated 1.1 billion Rwandan francs, that is about $1.3 million US, to establish the facility under its national e-waste management strategy that seeks to establish sustainable recycling industries. The project is conducted by the Ministry of Trade and Industry, MINICOM, and National Climate Change and Environmental Fund, together with other supporting institutions. The overall objective of the project is to offer an end-of-life solution to the electronic and electro waste, allowing sustainable use of information communication technology in the country by preventing a negative impact on electronic waste on the health or the environment once the equipment has reached its end of life. Business Digest got to speak with Olivia Mbera, the program manager of the facility, to give us an insight of how the facility works. Now, Rwanda has put so much emphasis in promoting ICT in the country. But what happens when the ICT materials and items reach the end of their life? They have to be recycled. Now, join me as we go through these recycling processes and as we also discuss on the importance of the recycling of these materials on our health.
So what we do here, we do electronic and electrical waste recycling for three main purposes. The first purpose is environmental protection, because we have hazardous fraction in this equipment, in electronic and electric equipment. So we need to properly handle and dispose it for the protection of environment, but also the human health, because some of these chemicals, they can contaminate people and cause cancers and other diseases. The second purpose is we have valuable components, valuable fraction, valuable metals in the electronic equipment, which should not be wasted. And what we do in this facility, we recover those valuable metals and other valuable fractions.
You've mentioned that the waste disposals are harmful to human health, and you have employees that work in this industry. Aren't they harmful to their health as well? And are there any measures that you're coming up with to protect them from being affected?
We make sure to protect the human health of our technicians. And we do it in three ways. We first train them on dismantling and also finding some hazardous equipment and how to isolate them. But also we train them on health and safety. You see they wear health and safety equipment, but also our dismantling tables, they are designed in a way that you see the holes inside the dismantling tables. Those are to extract the emissions and dust, and then convey it to our emission and dust treatment. So before any dust reaches them, it's being collected, it's being sucked by these big pipes that you see, and then being treated in the dust and emission treatment plant there. In the plant we have fibers, we have carbon filters to properly treat and remove the chemicals.
An inventory survey on electronics and electronic engineering and the expected amount of e-waste to be generated revealed that there is an annual growth in the generation of e-waste in the country at about 5.95%. The survey indicated that Rwanda has an e-waste annual generation potential of between 10,000 tons and 15,000 tons. However, the amount of e-waste is expected to keep on growing given the current high demand of electronic and electro equipment in the country.
Just take us through the recycling process of each and every final product that you come up with here.
And copper. We have another line specifically for CRTs, the cathode ray tube, because these ones contain hazardous powder, which has cadmium and mercury, so they have to be treated in a closed system. For you to be able to remove the powder, you have to break the glass. So we break it by heating, and then we separate the glass, the funnel glass, and the other parts, and then we remove the powder through vacuum pump, using the vacuum pump.
Restaurants can be a tricky business. Generally, as businesses go, the first year is usually the toughest. Startup costs of an average restaurant can reach into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and maintaining equipment and other capital investments can mean a struggle that goes on for years. Yet people need restaurants, and many restaurants do well, which makes getting into the restaurant business an alluring proposition. Food trucks is a way to test the waters of the food service industry without the hefty capital investment. In countries that do not prohibit food street vending, food trucks can be located everywhere, from city blocks at lunchtime to a busy day at the park. Getting food to people has become mobile, and most people are happy to have options close by. In Rwanda, food trucks isn't much of a trending business, and we got to speak with a few local businesses that are growing food truck and container businesses from ground up to share with us their experiences.
Actually, it's not that different, except from the structure of our container and everything. But when you look traditionally, like what we do and what we serve and what we give our clients, it's the same. We think that we are able to serve more clients like a regular restaurant. Many people do come here because of the environment, first of all, and what we serve, which is normally not to be found everywhere. We don't have the same structure as the regular restaurant, but everything that's done in the same restaurant outside, they do it as well to us. Because it's simple for us to do inspection since we have a small place. Yeah.
There are numerous advantages to owning a food truck business, not only because of their soaring popularity, but also because of the extreme flexibility that comes along with them. Some of the major advantages include low startup costs. Less than $100,000 can get you started in this business. Higher return potential. Food truck owners can earn between $250,000 and $500,000 on average. Food trucks can also be run by one or just two people typically. Social media advertising. Millennials can also use social media to find out food trucks' locations.
Now join me as we welcome Hussein Kaitare to the show. We're here at 1000 Hills Distillery Food Truck. He's going to explain to us how the food truck business is run and how it's been going on so far. Thank you so much, Hussein, for being here with us on Business Digest. Now please explain to us this food truck business. How different is it from the traditional restaurant business? What kind of benefits and value does it add on to the food business?
There's a number of benefits of food truck, like saving time, because we sometimes park it in the neighborhood. So it doesn't take you like you have to go to the distillery to get the same food as you can get with a food truck. So it saves your time and you get the quality food you want. And the other thing with the business side, it is not costly. So it's a matter of packing food and having two staff or one just to go serve the food with your clients.
Now, the food trucks, I've only seen about 2 in Kigali City. I've not seen plenty. Why do you think we don't have enough food trucks in Kigali?
The reason why there's not so many food trucks in Rwanda is because the culture of Rwanda. So they don't like eating while working. But I mean, how this food truck works is parking the street and then you sell food to whoever wants it and then they can eat it right away. And the other thing is, in Rwanda we are not allowed to sell food in the street, like street vendors. So that's why I think there's not so many food trucks, because they can get food at the restaurant at the corner. But then the problem will be the quality of the food you want. So if you used to go to the distillery and then you want that same quality you get at the distillery, then you will need food truck. A new culture that you are trying to introduce in Rwanda, and I think it's going to work better with time.
So you mentioned the food truck business has been running for a couple of months now. It began in September. How have Rwandans been responding to this?
Well, the feedback since we started has been quite positive, because wherever we parked our car, they're still coming back to us saying like, can we have the food truck again? Because we serve the tacos and bruschettes at Question Coffee. As I said, we are teaming up with different institutions just to sell our food in their property, because we are not allowed to sell food in the street. It's a very big food truck, because it is very small, as you can see, but I cannot specify and say that this is inch whatever, but it's very small, because it can only keep 3 people, and so we only have 1 chef and 1 staff who is serving the food. This guy here prepares food, and someone standing here, he delivers food to clients. This food truck serves 3 kinds of food: chips, bruschettes, and tacos. That's what we are originally doing right now. But look how we can extend our menu, our food truck menu. But so far, we're only doing 3 types of food.
Now, due to the fact that street food vending is prohibited in Kigali City, 1000 Hills Distillery Food Truck works with different institutions and events to reach their customers. And apparently, they can feed about 300 people here in Kigali City with just the food you see here in this food truck. Their food also is very delicious and tasty. You're still watching Business Digest. We still have more to come. Do stay with us.
And on today's segment of Market Trends, I will be bringing you the statistics on gross domestic products the second quarter of 2018. Let's have a look at the gross domestic product and its structure. In the second quarter of 2018, GDP at current market prices was estimated to be 2,000 billion Rwandan francs, up from 1,869 billion Rwandan francs in the second quarter of 2017. In this quarter, services sector contributed 47% of GDP, while agriculture sector contributed 30% of the GDP. Industry sector contributed 16% of the GDP, and 7% was attributed to adjustment for taxes and subsidies on products. Let's have a look at the growth rate by kind of activity. In the second quarter of 2018, estimates calculated in 2014 prices show that GDP was 6.7% higher compared in the second quarter of 2017. Let's now have a look at the industry sector. The industry sector grew by 10% and contributed 1.7 percentage points to overall GDP growth. The growth in industry sector was mainly attributed to growth in manufacturing and construction activities of 12% and 11% respectively. The service sector grew by 5% and contributed 2.6 percentage points to overall GDP growth. The growth in service sector was due to growth of several activities. Within the sector, wholesale and retail increased by 11% due to increase in trade-able agriculture and manufactured products. Transport activities increased by 13%, boosted by air transport that increased by 17%. Lastly, the expenditure GDP. In the second quarter of 2018, total final consumption expenditure increased by 3%. The household final expenditures increased by 4%. Exports increased by 5%, while imports increased by 7%. Gross capital formation increased by 21%, mainly due to imports of capital goods.
And that's all we had for today's edition of Business Digest. Make sure to tune in again next week here on Rwanda TV, same time. Thank you for watching. Weekly business tips are up next. Goodbye.